surprising. This is the biggest fight in Japanese history between two, elite Japanese fighters. And I understand styles make fights. I get it. But in this case, I guess what I'm reacting to is, Inoue is what I consider one of these super fighters. His speed, his reflexes, his power. Mike, what's the word I always like to use?
Twitchies?
Twitchies are different, right? They're elite. And Junto is like as good as it gets for a normally excellent fighter.
And I also think, I just won't be surprised. And as you all know, I already have. I'm going with Junto as a favorite in this, as far as my personal. So it won't be a big upset to me. I can't see someone with his type of technically sound game, with his system, with his work rate. I just don't see guys like that ever as an underdog in any.
Max Kellerman offers a detailed and insightful analysis of the long-awaited showdown between Naoya Inoue and Junto Nakatani, carefully breaking down the contrasting styles, individual strengths, strategic approaches, and tactical adjustments that could ultimately determine the outcome of this highly anticipated championship clash.
Two top 10 pound-for-pound fighters. The number 2 pound-for-pound fighter in all the world, the monster, Naoya Inoue, takes on number 6 Junto Nakatani at the Tokyo.
Kellerman also points out that the potential fight between Naoya Inoue and Junto Nakatani has not generated the same level of attention in the United States. He explains that this is largely because both competitors fight in the lower weight divisions, which traditionally receive less interest from American audiences, while the event itself is expected to take place in Japan, far from the primary U.S. boxing market.
We have a clash of top 10 pound-for-pounders. There's a lot of buildup. But this one feels as though, at least from where we're sitting in LA, that it's flown a bit under the radar. Now, in the first place, it's two tiny division fighters, right? Once you get below lightweight, especially featherweight, the American public has a tendency anyway to think, well, they're kind of tiny guys and be a little less interested. They're both Japanese fighters, and so the fight's taking place halfway around the world from here, and they haven't been marketed in this country the way they've been marketed in Japan for obvious reasons. And also, Inoue is about a 3-to-1 favorite, so it's not considered a
When Max Kellerman leaned toward Naoya Inoue as the favorite, boxing insider Mike Coppinger offered a different perspective. He argued that the matchup is much closer than many people assume, insisting the contest should be viewed as highly competitive rather than a one-sided affair, with both champions possessing realistic paths to victory on fight night.
Holyfield. Does this have a little shade of that, where Mike Tyson would have always been a big favorite against Holyfield, right? In retrospect, he shouldn't have been, but at the time he would have been. Then he loses, goes to prison, Holyfield becomes champion. And going into their fight, which had been postponed for years, Mike hadn't looked as good since he was still champ. He had looked better than he had in years, beating the hell out of Frank Bruno. Better than he'd beaten Frank Bruno the first time, even though Bruno was coming off a good win. While Holyfield fought a blown-up middleweight, ultimately, in Bobby Ches, and looked horrible. So heading into that fight, people thought Tyson would win anyway, but now it was like, okay. Inoue looked better than Nakatani last time out.
Jesse Bam Rodriguez expressed tremendous respect for both Naoya Inoue and Junto Nakatani, describing each of them as elite world champions. Even so, he gives a slight edge to Inoue because of his outstanding speed, explosive punching power, and wealth of championship experience. Rodriguez also made it clear that he is prepared to face whichever fighter emerges victorious, believing that matchup will eventually become unavoidable if he continues winning.
A 55-45 fight, maybe in favor of Inoue. And look, Inoue is a future Hall of Famer, first ballot. He's an all-time great, so he deserves that respect. And I was ringside on the call for those 2 fights in December in Riyadh. And like Malik said, that was a really tough fight. Nakatani, Sebastian Hernandez, pressure style, Mexican, first fight at 122. So to me, I felt more encouraged going into this fight instead of less. And I just think maybe it's flying under the radar because it's going to be on very early morning in the U.S. This fight's in Japan. Just this morning, they announced, Max, this is a sold-out fight at the Tokyo Dome. They're going to have...
Veteran trainer Joel Diaz also believes Naoya Inoue possesses too much precision, power, and overall firepower for Junto Nakatani to overcome. Diaz predicts that Inoue will eventually earn a stoppage victory, explaining that his exceptional timing, devastating body attack, and elite finishing instincts will gradually wear Nakatani down before ending the contest prior to the final bell.
Down the line, not next, but definitely down the line, would love to see you fight either against Nakatani or Inoue. Do you want to maybe say who you favor in that fight between the two?
I think Inoue wins the fight. just because he has more experience. He's been in the weight division longer than Nakatani has, so I do favor Inoue, but Nakatani, he does have a chance as well, just because he has that kind of one-punch power.
Maybe that could be the big fight in your hometown, right?
Yeah, hopefully. If not, I don't mind going to Japan either. I love going to Japan. I love spending. Yeah, I love spending time there. So.
Oh, so you have traveled there before?
Yeah, I've been there plenty of times, but like I said, either San Antonio or Japan.
Former multi-division world champion Nonito Donaire described Naoya Inoue as the toughest and hardest-hitting opponent he has ever encountered during his remarkable career. Donaire praised Inoue's explosive punching power, pinpoint accuracy, relentless pressure, and complete offensive arsenal, admitting their battles pushed him to his absolute limits while showcasing the Japanese champion's truly elite level of greatness.
Faced him a couple times against Nakatani. Just how do you think how one goes?
You know, I've been against Inoue twice, you know, and I seen that fighter in person. I mean, I've been in the ring with him. He's fast, he's strong, confident, and I've also been against Nakatani. I've been against Nakatani before with Tito Acosta. I just think that Nakatani will put up a fight, but Inoue will stop him.
Inoue's been dropped by a few left hands. Donaire hurt him with a left hand.
But he gets up and he still wins. But I just think that Nakatani, I mean, he's not ready for Inoue yet. I just think that fight will end up.
Chris Algieri expects Naoya Inoue to emerge victorious in what he believes will be a close, competitive battle against Junto Nakatani, likely by unanimous or majority decision rather than an early knockout. He anticipates a highly tactical contest filled with momentum swings, possible knockdowns for both fighters, and elite-level exchanges driven by timing, precision, and tremendous punching power.
To a lot of things, you know, I think the best guy that I faced, and maybe perhaps if I was younger, it might be a different story, but at the moment of who I am in this time, I would say Inoue is the toughest that I've faced, or the strongest that I've faced.
That's probably potentially the best fight that you faced. What is it about him that gives you that decision?
I think it was like facing the younger me. You know, there's just a lot of similarities in terms of power, explosiveness, and sometimes intelligence. You know, but I think a lot of it is given the similarities is what.
Mike Coppinger suggested that if Naoya Inoue defeats Junto Nakatani in convincing fashion, he could potentially move into the #1 position in the pound-for-pound rankings ahead of Alexander Usyk. However, Coppinger noted that such a move would also depend on Usyk's standing at that time and the overall strength of elite competition across the boxing landscape.
This is another one that's going to be neck and neck. I'm going off of Inoue because of the experience that he has and who he's done it with. You know, that Fulton destruction was a beautiful thing, and that was all boxing IQ. That was an IQ. That wasn't about speed. That wasn't about power. That was IQ, and he set everything up beautifully with the jab. So, yeah, I'm gonna go Naoya Inoue on IQ as well.
All right, it's time for our predictions. Inoue versus Nakatani. I always go first. I'm putting you.
Malik Scott believes Naoya Inoue deserves to be ranked either as boxing's pound-for-pound #1 fighter or directly alongside Alexander Usyk. He bases that opinion on the elite opposition Inoue has already defeated, combined with the dangerous challenges expected to await him in the future, further strengthening his case as one of the very best fighters in the sport today.
We then have a case for Usyk's #1 pound-for-pound spot? Mike?
Yes, absolutely, Max. I mean, we're talking about knocking off the little pound guy. If he does it in fashion, I think you have to put Inoue #1 at that point. I mean, obviously, especially when you compare Usyk's going to be fighting Rico Verhoeven, right, a kickboxer, so he's not going to be able to really strengthen his resume, even if he blows out Verhoeven. Whereas if Inoue beats Nakatani in fashion, in convincing, I think you have to.
Max Kellerman acknowledges that, on paper, Naoya Inoue appears to be the more accomplished and proven fighter. However, he cautions fans against oversimplifying Inoue's climb through multiple weight divisions. Kellerman points out that each move has involved only a few pounds rather than the dramatic jumps seen throughout boxing history. He also emphasizes that Inoue's devastating knockout power may not remain equally dominant at heavier weights, particularly against naturally larger opponents. Facing elite fighters such as Rafael Espinoza could reveal the upper limits of Inoue's abilities as size, durability, and overall competition become increasingly difficult in those higher divisions.
You know, if you start fighting the wrestler or the kickboxer, it makes it hard, especially if people are bringing up, what about Caballel? What about obviously Moses Atama? And you're opting instead, or the names you're mentioning is, how about this kickboxer? How about Deontay Wilder, who's past his prime? And you're 38 years old? I think what Mike is saying has validity. Where are you with that?
I'm with Mike on that totally, especially it doesn't help right now because Usyk is fighting, you know, a kickboxer. He's basically taking a chance with something that, you know, many of us wouldn't even consider a risk with the kickboxer. And then when you turn the page and you look at what Inoue is facing and maybe possibly facing in the future, considering Espinoza, considering Van Rodriguez, I would say you have to put him right under Usyk.
Should Naoya Inoue defeat Junto Nakatani, many experts believe his next challenge should come against either Jesse "Bam" Rodriguez or Rafael Espinoza. Both are viewed as dangerous, high-risk, high-reward opponents capable of defining the next chapter of his legendary career. Bam brings elite speed, technical brilliance, and pound-for-pound talent, while Espinoza offers imposing size, relentless pressure, and physical strength in a heavier division. Malik Scott insists that when evaluating a fighter of Inoue's caliber, attention should remain focused only on elite challengers capable of actually defeating him rather than simply respectable contenders. In Scott's view, Rodriguez and Espinoza represent the two most meaningful and compelling tests available moving forward.
Okay, I mean, that's a great one. Agree with you on paper. However, again, Inoue has already jumped a bunch of divisions. Right. Now, let's not overstate it. In that weight territory, a division is 4 pounds. So it's not like he moved up the way Pacquiao moved all the way up to junior middleweight. But he has moved up a bunch.
He's
Mike,
nice though,
he's nice with his hands, but also he was a devastating puncher until just now. Yes. And now you're asking him to go one more division up to fight a killer in that division. You like Inoue's chances more than Shushu's or Angelo Leo or anyone?
I like Inoue. He has a ceiling though. He has a ceiling concerning going up in the weight classes.
Inoue.
Yes, but to be clear, I'm not saying I'd pick Inoue over Espinoza. You said the best shot. Yes, for me it's no question because the only elite fighter I think at featherweight is Espinoza. And I agree, Shushu and a couple of more fights will be more ready. I don't think Shushu's ever going to be on the level of Espinoza the way I see him right now. And I think if you talk to people behind the scenes.
Jesse "Bam" Rodriguez has made it absolutely clear that he wants to face Naoya Inoue next and remains confident that such a showdown is inevitable. He believes that as long as both champions continue winning, the fight will naturally come together in the near future. Rodriguez has even expressed his willingness to travel to Japan if that helps finalize the bout more easily, demonstrating just how eager he is for the challenge. He views Inoue as one of the greatest tests of his career and is actively positioning himself for that opportunity. With discussions already taking place between promoters and interest coming from both camps, the contest is widely regarded as one of boxing's most anticipated future matchups.
Then most like to see him face next, Mike? Is it like, let's hold on, let's just say, is it anyone other than either Bam moving up or Inoue moving up to fight Espinoza?
No, that's it. Those are the two options, Max. And I want to see Bam first before Inoue moves up. We have Bam moving up to 118 in June for the first time. So he's getting closer now. And I want to see that fight next if Inoue does win as expected. Again, I'm not sleeping on Nakatani at all, though. I think Nakatani's going to give Inoue all he can handle. But talking about lower weights, Inoue and Bam Rodriguez is one of the biggest fights probably in history, below 126.
Yeah, you know, I agree. I think Bam, the reason, Malik, that you look at Inoue and Bam, should Inoue beat Nakatani, is those are both special, super, top 5 pound-for-pound, twitchy, speed, power, skill, the whole thing type fighters.
Junto Nakatani has openly praised Naoya Inoue, stating that he considers him the current pound-for-pound #1 fighter in boxing. According to Nakatani, Inoue's exceptional blend of speed, power, timing, and ring intelligence separates him from every other active boxer in the sport. He emphasized that Inoue's ability to dominate across several weight divisions while maintaining impressive knockout power is an extremely rare achievement at the elite level. Nakatani also acknowledged how difficult it is to prepare for a fighter with Inoue's precision and relentless pressure, noting that very few competitors can match his complete skill set. Despite being one of his biggest potential rivals, Nakatani spoke with admiration rather than hostility, reinforcing the widespread belief that Inoue belongs at or near the very top of the pound-for-pound rankings.
Finally getting in there, that's a fight that will define this era in the lower weight classes?
I think so. I think me against Inoue would definitely be, if not one of the biggest fights in the lower weight divisions.
Do you have a...
Tim Bradley explained that Junto Nakatani is an intelligent, long, and rangy fighter who depends heavily on controlling distance to dictate the pace of his fights. However, Bradley noted that whenever opponents attempt to close the gap, Nakatani becomes especially dangerous because of his ability to punch between combinations and intercept incoming attacks with excellent timing. He believes those qualities could create serious problems for Naoya Inoue if mistakes are made. Bradley also pointed out that Inoue occasionally drops his opposite hand while throwing powerful punches and can sometimes leave himself slightly out of position after missing. With his reach advantage and sharp counterpunching instincts, Nakatani will likely try to capitalize on those moments. Even so, Bradley believes Inoue's greatest strength remains his adaptability, allowing him to adjust his rhythm, distance, and overall strategy against any opponent. For that reason, he expects the matchup to be highly technical, tactical, and explosively competitive at the highest level.
Do you think is pound for pound #1 boxer on the planet right now?
今パウンドパウンドで一番強い選手っていうのはどなたというふうにお考えですか？
まあ僕の名前を言いたいところですけど、まあ井上選手を評価しているので、まあその井上選手に勝ってパウンド4パウンド1になりたいなっていうふうに思ってます。
I would have been preferred if I could say I myself, but he's embarrassed. But
a victory over Naoya Inoue would represent a truly career-defining achievement for Junto Nakatani and could dramatically elevate his standing throughout the boxing world. Since Inoue is widely recognized as one of the sport's elite pound-for-pound champions, an upset victory would instantly enhance Nakatani's international reputation and firmly establish him among boxing's biggest names. Such a triumph would almost certainly open the door to significantly larger opportunities, including major pay-per-view events and championship fights against other elite title holders across multiple weight divisions. It could also accelerate his move into heavier weight classes, where even more lucrative and legacy-defining matchups await. Beyond the financial rewards, defeating a fighter of Inoue's caliber would transform Nakatani into one of boxing's premier attractions, increasing demand for his future fights and solidifying his place among the sport's true elite competitors.
And he is. He's a very long, rangy type of fighter, but he needs distance. Oh yeah, he needs distance. But in the meantime, while you're trying to close distance and you letting your hands go, he's looking to punch in between your shots too. And that's why I think he can catch and hurt in a way, for real. That's why I think in between, in a way, probably would throw a big shot. Usually when he throws big punches, he drops the opposite hand. Or usually when Inoue throws a big shot, and if he misses, he's out of position sometimes. And Nakatani gonna be looking to fill those holes, man. He gonna look to fill those holes. Remember, he got the longer reach. He's still at 68.5. Not that much, 1 inch. Believe it or not, Inoue got some pretty long arms. You know, for 5'5", that's 67.5. But there's gonna be a height difference, so Inoue's gonna have to, you know, punch up, you know, at Nakatani, you know, which could shorten that distance a little bit for him. You know, he's gonna have to really step in, and that's